made 100 players survive in a zombie apocalypse to see what would happen. There's parasitic zombies, grenades, and even secret military bases all throughout the map. Will they survive with there also being 3 days until a deadly virus kills everyone in the city? Watch till the end of the video to find out. Day 1. 3 days remain until the city is gone. Plane crashed during the brink of night. The passengers that survived the flight ran away from the crash site. What had caused the plane to crash? This is where the passengers of the plane started their journey at. I guess running away from their problems didn't work out too well for them, did it? The second group surviving in the city were known as the druggies. They were camped out in front of a hospital, but right off of the bat they regretted their very first decision. The hospital was where they decided to go, especially during the beginning of the virus. The thing they didn't account for was the fact that there was basically a motherload of zombies in there. They quickly realized their mistake, but regardless were desperate for food, so they decided to look through the pantry while trying their best not to get infected. They continue in search of morphine, just in case they break their legs or something while trying to survive. 2 of the members of druggies even made it to the elevator and thought climbing to the top was their one-shot way out, but they were mistaken. They were a little all over the place, but they were looting up on medicine quickly. But once they realized that most of the zombies would be there, they were trying to make their way out of their own base. They quickly ran out of there and began to loot a nearby town, starting with this gas station. Wonder if they still have candy bars around. The location that they're at now made it so they can get normal supplies rather than medicine related stuff. They are now able to get stuff like stale food and even a bit of normal armor padding, which will lower their chances of getting infected. Every survivor was also set to hardcore mode, so they only have 1 life. Better make that thing count. 2 of the more chaotic groups were the nomads and the rebels, being the most reckless out of all the groups. You didn't want to bump into them. They had a rivalry going on in the city for land, food, and all sorts of ordeals. The nomads still had a bit more order than the rebels, being that they had a team leader, Nut Daily. They were posted up at a nearby house while zombies surrounded the place and tried breaking in. The nomads are up in this building. I hear so many zombies. Jesus, dude. There's so many zombies. Trying to get to them. They were camped out on top of this building and even wrote a help sign with carpets they found in their building. They wanted out as much as everyone else there. After a while, the nomads ended up escaping their building and started looting the parking lot right in front of them. But it was still a pretty dangerous journey. People were even held up at cars and posed trying to survive the hordes, which led them having to hide on top of houses to avoid the zombies. There was a 5th group known as the Outcasts who lived far away from the city, since that's where most of the population of zombies would have been at in the first place. They lived out by an active volcano, which was a huge risk factor, but it seemed like they were trying to hide something from the other teams. That's a little suspicious if you ask me. More on that later. The streets were filled with these 3 groups, and although their goal was to make it safe within the giant walls protecting the place, the zombies still managed to break in and turn the place into another part of this apocalyptic world. They decided to come into a temporary alliance, which we'll call the RNO, standing for Rebels, Nomads, and Outcasts. Moving away from the survivor teams, there was a 6th group known as Project Eden, which was a team sent by the military in order to save the civilians of this city that were threatened by this deadly disease. Their base of operations was a military-grade ship parked right in the dead center of this city. They came here with decent bits of armor, so they began to suit up for their first mission. But shortly after arriving, they lost communication with their commander. That's never a good thing. There were maps of the entire island and the military ship that came there to that island with. Upon exploring further, they also got wood from the resource crate they were given, and without a commander, chaos ensued as everyone started looting the heck out of the ship. And this just simply being the fact that they all thought they were stranded there for quite a while. Honestly makes a lot of sense. These are the 6 groups that fill the city, each surviving this deadly virus that fell onto humanity. And don't forget, in 3 days there's a deadly gas that'll be dropped onto the city. The only way to survive this is either 1 to find a fallout shelter or 2 to find gas masks. And they don't even know that the gas is coming in the first place, so they better get to exploring to find some newsletters. If you're interested in joining these civilization events, check out my pinned tweet on my Twitter below. Now back to the survivors who may or may not get gassed out of their existence. Team Druggies were quickly split into different tasks. Beals was assigned to mine, so he began reaping the benefits of mining rather than looting, while the rest of their team was either looting or on top of a building trying to stay alive. 2 of them ended up being fascinated by this toilet. Mocha and Sad literally were just staring at it. Now, while all of the teams were going through their own struggles with surviving against the zombies and enemy teams, there was one player that found the perfect place to make into a shelter. Let's teleport to some random people, see what's going on, where they're at. This guy is under a bridge. This is a nice area, you know. This is a nice area to base. This looks really safe. What is this place? Employees only? It's like a store down here. This is Reef, who is a part of Team Druggies as well, but they were a smaller group within the Druggies that had the intent to kill on sight. He managed to find a fast food restaurant who had iron doors blocking the entrance of the place, making it nearly zombie-proof for a while, taking the time to loot up the place. My boy probably got some good munchies there too. Another member of their team found an abandoned site with the words Apollo on it that had a crazy looking spaceship there. Might honestly lead a way to escape this city. There was a thing that he didn't know though. It's the fact that there was a pair of elytras at the bottom of the ship. If those fell onto the wrong hands, this could be an extremely deadly weapon. Team Eden broke into their armory in which they had been saving for an actual mission. Still no communication from their commander, they ended up electing Eopoke as their commander fill-in and geared the entire team up with suits. Out of all the other groups, this team had gotten the best advantage a team could ever ask for. Soon, they prepare for their first operation to loot the city and find other survivors that they can help. Oh, just how wrong this could actually go. Survivors also ended up finding a lighthouse in the middle of the two city sides. They read on one of the notes left behind from a survivor that was there long before them that there was hidden riches in that lighthouse, so they began mining into it in search for that hidden treasure. They ended up finding the treasure. It ended up being human remains. Little did they know that a survivor had already taken the treasure but couldn't escape in one piece, hence why their boats flipped upside down. The RNO, outcast rebels and nomads, were still being chased by the zombies all throughout the night. It was looking pretty rough for them. The buildings they wanted to take shelter in were also full of the infected. Some even ended up underground, hiding out from the zombies creeping up on them. Team Druggies were cooped up in a cozy house down by the suburban area of the city, cooking up some yummy food and trying to gather their entire team in one place. They were even given treats such as artery soup. Yum. The outcast had a very barren campsite. They also realized that there wasn't enough stability there to sustain their entire team, so they headed inwards towards the big city. Before this, the middle of the active volcano had a bit of loot there, which had been long looted by their team. The reason why that's even important is because the most valuable resource that they can find there were gas masks, and they had quite the abundance of them. The outcast's campsite was one of the best spawn locations for every one of these teams, and only 1 out of the 6 teams now have immunity against City's End. If you want to see me making more of these civilization experiments, consider subscribing. It helps out a ton. Now back to the video. Remember Reef down by the restaurant? The person he was waiting for was his teammate Music, who had just arrived and was given the coords to Reef's location. Reef was by far the safest person in the city so far, allowing him to stack up big time. Don't believe me? Just look at these teams struggling with only a few of these zombies. They haven't been even able to move. A team we haven't seen much of was the Passengers from the plane crash. Right after they crashed, they went to the nearest mall, since it'd have the most variety of loot. They were stacking up quick time since they knew what was coming. The end of the city as we know it by deadly gas. That's the reason they hijacked a plane to escape this place in the first place. But things clearly went wrong, so they went in search of a fallout shelter said to be at this very mall. In the midst of all this, some of the passengers died to zombies, but they still pushed forwards. Day 2. Only 2 days remain till the city is gone. These are the current team counts at the moment. Team Eden with the most survivors, 14, Druggies with 9, and the RNO alongside the Passengers with the lowest in survivor counts out of them all. 2 members of Team Druggies, Adriens and Teddy, decided this to make it their home base. Temporarily, but it's still pretty nice, and it's a bit far away from the main area where all of the zombies are located. But with every bit of good news, there's also a bit of bad news that comes with it. One of their members ended up getting infected and overall dying, so Adriens had to put him out of his misery. She collected the loot that they left behind, and the moment that she got comfortable, that was the moment that she regretted. A baby zombie crept up on her and chased her back into the house. Trust and believe, with the zombies out and about during this time, you don't want to make these type of mistakes. Their plan was to regroup with their team once the rain had cleared up. The RNO members that were organized thought it'd be best to camp outside of the main city as well, with a cozy little place to survive at. Some of the nomads thought they may have left something over at their hotel, so they decided to go back and wanted to check out what may have been missed in that building. Then they went on to jumping off of their own building. I wasn't kidding. Some of these guys are insane, but they did end up falling into a lake nearby and entering a rescue boat that had been taken by the waters. Meanwhile, the Passengers had zero luck finding that fallout shelter that they wanted to locate to survive the gas, so they ended up going into the sewers, thinking there could be an entrance to the fallout shelter through these tunnels. Honestly, it wasn't a bad idea. I'd give them a 7 out of 10. This is not a fallout shelter, but they sure did find something interesting down there. It looked like some sort of weird facility. They might even have gas masks down there. While this was all happening, Team Eden, the group that was supposed to save the survivors, ended up realizing just how difficult it was to survive in this city. So they were cooped up in their own base, which was a restaurant known as the Seaside Eatery. This would be a nice place to take someone to a date, just minus the zombies. It was right by the water and had a bunch of food which will let them rest up for a while. There was also a second floor to that building which had a darker truth behind it, but they're yet to discover. A couple of their members even had iron gear. They were well suited and ready for when things get rough, and being that they have the most survivors in their team, they had the numbers for it. The second most powerful group so far would have to be Team Druggies. They soon came into contact with their other teammates at last and were in a Lamazon warehouse, which they only had to wait for Teddy and Agent to arrive. What ended up happening with Team Druggies was that they had a lack of communication with two of their most powerful teammates, Reef and Music, who were still technically a part of their team. They had separate strategies to surviving, so they stayed mostly separate, but were still open to not all out slaughtering each other. Egypt. Reef was running his own investigations of what was really going down here, so he followed some tracks that led him onto the plane that the passengers ended up here with. After some digging within the plane through what had happened, he discovered for his entire team that they needed gas masks, because in 2 days from now, the whole city would be in danger. Reef thought he was alone here and that all the passengers had already left, but some of the passengers had the same idea, rechecking if anything on the plane was left behind. That's also because the passengers already knew that there was a city-wide death approaching. Why do you think they were on the plane in the first place? That was their team's advantage. That being said, the passengers realized that it would stir up trouble for the enemy teams if they find out that a city-wide danger was being thrown around, so they went to retrieve the papers that had warned them about it in the first place. A little selfish, but they are against each other. But they were too late. Reef had already found them and told his teammates within Team Druggies. But not all the teams have found out. The passengers decided to stay back though, seeing as Reef had really good armor in comparison to them. Team Rebels at this time had discovered the Apollo ship as well. You know, the one with the elytras? But fear not, they weren't the first ones to find the elytra. So that leaves the question, who exactly was it that got the elytras? Phase 2. PvP is now enabled, and soon there will be gas mask drop sites given to survivors in the city. The two top teams at the moment is Team Eden with around 11 members and Team Druggies with around 8. The rest of them had less than 7 members. Team Eden, slowly structure by structure, was looting the nearby area. They got a lot more organized under Eopoke's leadership, and the restaurant of theirs is looking really sturdy. This is also the first team thinking a lot more long term. They began to work on a farm in front of the restaurant. What is this thing? Is this a restaurant?
Yeah, it's an eatery, but it has no food in it, so that's great.
Give you guys some bone blocks so you can use that as bone.
Oh! Adrien, thank you! Thank you!
We have a god.
Adrien! Yes.
Guys, there's a settlement over there of like outcasts.
We're gonna have so much bread. Thank you, Adrien. You saved our team.
Some of their members even went out of their way to shoot some of the outcasts and stole their gas masks. This also put them at a huge advantage. Something dark that the Edens have yet to discover is on the upper floor. Turns out other survivors have been trying to survive there before. Wonder what happened to them. This restaurant has got some interesting things going on here, and this is another one of the rebels that have stumbled upon there. The base of RNO wasn't too far from here either, and some of the passengers happened to stumble upon their alliance. Luckily for the RNO alliance, the passengers were in a negotiating mood. The main food needed for such a large alliance would be immense, but luckily these barns carry tons of hay bales, allowing this alliance to be with benefits. Now, don't mistaken the passengers as a non-threat either. They had their fair share of weapons. The druggies somehow managed to get themselves in another warehouse of some sort somehow. These Lamazon warehouses is going crazy. Something about these druggies and their warehouses, man. Wonder why they keep ending up here. This was where the world event began. The release of the gas mask locations were given to each team in the city. And the reason this world event began was because an Eden member pushed a button and gave away these locations to both themselves and the city inhabitants. These locations included the volcano, the hospital antenna, the radio dish, Ferris wheel, and the plane cargo. There is a limited amount of gas masks, so they better hurry. Only 1 day remains. Team Druggies didn't waste a split second. The moment they heard about these coordinates to get those gas masks, they went to the closest one to them, which happened to be the very hospital that they started at. think of it as a bitter reunion. Will they make it to the top this time without risking too many of their lives? Maybe. Ironically, as they head towards the hospital coordinates, they completely missed the coordinates of the Ferris wheel, where it lied about 8 gas masks for their entire team. But I guess they had a one-track mindset. They finally reached the hospital. Instead of the conventional method of going up the stairs, they noticed that there's vines all over the place, and used them to climb to the very top of it. The downside to this method is keeping themselves hidden. If any enemy team saw them going up there, they'd be sitting ducks. The second they got up there,
someone's got a full enchanted iron armor set.
Wait, what?
hordes of zombies started running at them, blocking them from getting those gas masks.
Going up,
See
right.
a zombie in the distance. Careful.
Wait,
careful.
this chest has been looted.
Oh wait, there's an antenna over here. Antenna over here is surrounded by
yeah.
zombies.
They're getting close.
Oh my god.
They started axing and shooting them down, but then more crept up behind them.
Oh, low.
Zombies
I
behind
feel
us. Zombies behind us.
I feel like we should just go up there in this way. This very much looks like a trap.
Feels like a trap, but
Wait, block them
force
off.
our way through.
Oh, wait,
Force our way through.
oh, somebody died.
Yeah, I
behind
am
me, dude.
dying.
Oh god.
So is it under the
Oh, I am
tower?
dying.
He said it's on top of the antenna or something like
Did
that.
he?
So we need to get up there? That's
Sorry,
so
sorry.
much effort to get up there, bro. We need
Killer,
a
is
lot of
it out?
block. Oh my god, a zombie sliding in front of me.
After a bunch of struggling, they finally got through the zombies and began trying to locate the masks. That is the reason they came there for. Even if they made it up there, there was more zombies waiting for them up there.
There is zombies up here.
Oh
No
my
way.
god.
Where
Going
did this
in.
come from? Okay, zombies are falling down. Be careful. They're coming towards you.
Oh my god.
And he made it. Knocked off all of the zombies up there with him. That's only a little bit after he was a bit confused.
Okay, I'm on the very
Like,
tippity
little-
top of the antenna right now.
This way.
But I don't see anything yet.
Adrian.
Was Adrian lying about it being at the top?
No,
Oh, I
he
see
said
something.
it was on the top. I don't know why it's not.
Is it under like a block or something?
Maybe
I'm
it's
not
hidden
sure. It
inside
might be.
the middle.
Beals ended up finding the gas masks.
It is in the middle. It is in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Let's go, you
We're
found
gonna
it!
start seeing Matt's stuff like that.
The same thing happened to Eopoke's team, Team Eden. They were given the same coordinates. At first they wanted to go to the Ferris wheel too, and they began heading over there with a group of their members, including Eopoke himself. But then they realized that there were a pair of coordinates to a place with masks much closer than the Ferris wheel. It was located at the cruise ship, kind of in front of their base.
We did not agree.
I think you.
Wait, no, it is negative 360. Wait, no,
We
it
do
is
not-
negative 600. Wait, it's
Yeah.
negative 620, which the
I'm
location
going
is.
Tonk of Project Eden took it upon themselves to locate these gas masks as he jumped into the water, swimming his way over to near the cruise ship area. He overhit the cords by a bit and swam past the cruise ship, but he'll figure it out, I think. Don't worry, Tonk found it. The thing you should be worried about is Tonk telling me to keep quiet about the gas masks that was supposed to be for his team. Is he planning to keep them far away from his teammates? Whose side is Tonk really on? Am I smelling a little bit of betrayal here? Meanwhile, their leader Eopoke discovered one of the chests down by the Eden ship, containing this thing called a super serum, which he had been debating using on himself. Why am I stuck?
I drank Sharpness 3 forever.
What?
That is OP. That is OP. I did not Sharpness 3 forever.
Dang.
I think we should keep it. I think you should keep it. I think you should keep it.
Yeah,
No, I got
I
it.
know.
I'm
I think I should
drinking
drink
mine, I'm
milk.
drinking
Adrian,
mine.
do you think I should drink milk?
No.
I think I might need to drink milk.
So where's the rest of the team?
It apparently gives you permanent sharpness 3, which both of them ended up using. This was an eye-opener. They began to question how many of the other teams have found serums just like this one, because if they did, wars would be really tough to fight in this city. Now that there's gas masks out for circulation, if one of them are killed carrying the gas masks, it'll give a different person the opportunity to survive the city's gas threat, big time. What can make things even worse is if they die to zombies. Then nobody gets the gas masks, and you would have died for nothing. This is where things get a bit demonic even. Remember the outcasts? They happen to be hiding something from the public. Well, that's soon discovered. Feast your eyes. This is located right underneath the volcano of theirs. This place looks like the Nether. Who knows what this place is for? All I know is it's a place that I would not like to stay. Imagine what would happen if the volcano erupts here. The outcasts better be careful, especially with them being borderline extinct this far in. Day 3. Less than 24 hours left before this city is gone. Team Druggies actually decided to stay at the hospital, as the zombies play as a form of deterrent from nearby players. Oh, that's what they kind of hoped for. This meant that the team could loosen up a little and put their guard down a bit. They took this time to regroup with the rest of their teammates, which included Reef and Music this time. They gave around the spare gas mask to ensure that their team lives even after the city's passing. But right when things were looking too good to be true for Team Druggies, Project Eden interrupted, and he threw grenades down at Team Druggies, killing 4 of their members. This was horrible for the Druggies. Their main forces were wiped out like it was nothing, because there's a bunch of custom like potions.
26311 and 26307.
Watch that just kill you.
Let's try it.
Oh! What just happened? What's happening?
Hi guys, how are you? Did you like my bombing?
Oh!
Hi Adriens.
My God, they got. Oh, dude, I can't see.
Was
the
that
thing,
everyone?
bro. Yo, your team just got bombed, bro.
They had an elytra too.
Your team got a Don't go into. Wait, did you go into the potion?
It was a slowness potion.
Oh yeah, because that's what the grenades are. They give you like nausea, they give you levitation, like a bunch of effects, and they kill you off. That's crazy. Damn. You guys were existing for 1 second. I wish you two the best of luck, man. But the real question is, how did Project Eden even show up at the hospital without anyone noticing? And then it hit me. They were the ones that took the elytras. Team Eden ended up being the team that took both of the elytras as theirs. This was Team Druggy's worst days yet. At least now they have a few extra gas masks, right? That's what happened to a decent chunk of the city across the bridge, and the entire place is oozing of radiation, uninhabitable without a gas mask. A player from the Rebels team, 3 Illies, ended up exploring a bit and finding an experimental lab that dealt with dimensional portals. This place was to study how the virus came to be, since the origin was unknown and is said to come from a place deep beneath the ocean. There was a lab report there read, there was a group of scientists that arrived by submarine to study the findings of the waters. What ended up happening was everything went wrong and left almost no man surviving. There were creatures with big teeth roaming around the waters. What left that place was no man but the curse of one lost daughter. Wonder if that's what caused this entire virus and everything that's happening right now. Another thing that was here was the 3 wither skulls, which 3 Illies didn't take into account. He could have used this to survive what's to come, especially with the wars. Instead, he explores an experiment of theirs, leading him into a different dimension, never to be seen again. That's me leaving the scene of crime. No one will ever know. Don't you dare go into the comments and say I murdered somebody. Another note that was left there was part of Project Power, and it read, a cruise ship sailed the seas and ended up in pairs of 2 islands. Egypt's tyrants rising to powers and conquering a land. And lastly, a Leviathan. What could it mean? Back to Team Druggy, still alive despite the demise of their fellow pharmacists. May they prescribe in peace. Sad and Mocha made it in one piece, exploring and trying to go inwards. No toilets to admire this time around though. While these two were having it nice and peaceful, a different thing was stirring up in the city. Team Eden was being attacked by other teammates of the Druggies. This was right by the beach, exactly at their home base. Damn, you guys got diamond? What the heck? Oh, there's a fight going. Oh, there's a Druggy. It's Eden versus Druggies. Oh snap. Oh snap. Oh, it's a whole fight.
Guys,
Are you not gonna talk about that?
Group up.
Oh God.
They killed one.
I'm going to our spawn area. Everyone,
No,
everyone,
no,
all survivors
no,
go to the
no.
spawn area.
Okay, door is set down.
I'm gonna fight music. I'm
You
gonna
gotta-
fight
I
music.
put down another door. There's 3 doors. There's 3 doors.
I'm low. I'm dead. I'm dead.
Lona Wolf, that's me.
Oh,
Oh.
Adriel is slain.
I'm being
Break the boat. Break the boat. So they can't find us. Good, good.
God.
Eopoke was slain, the leader of Team Eden, and it seemed that only 50% of their team was actually at the base at that time. So Team Druggy slayed all of their members. On the brighter side, there were still a few of them around in the world, but members of Team Druggies were still hunting down the members of Team Eden. Despite the Eden's goal to rescue the saviors, they didn't want saving, especially after the attack of one of Eden's rogue members decided to pull. Revenge was taken by Team Druggies. While this back and forth was happening, the other teams continued in search for these gas masks, since by this time word of mouth spread to most of the teams about the gas deploying into the city. Remember how only 50% of Eden was at their base? Well, it turns out 40% of their members decided to make their own little militia known as the Bravo 6, with their own plans to surviving the apocalyptic city. And this is regardless of if there's any survivors being helped or not. It's more than clear that these survivors are hostile just as much as the zombies are. This also happens to be the part of Team Eden that assassinated Team Druggy's teammates, and the other half of Eden paid for their crimes. Massimo also happened to be the second person to get the elytra. And also the payment is still yet to be paid for this attack.
This is Bravo 6 from earlier, and this is our entire
Adrian,
squad.
all of my potion effects are on 0, but they're still active.
I think there's 6 or 7. I think there's only like 5 of us.
Are you still with the other teammates of yours?
I don't think
so.
Oh, you don't
no,
think so?
I mean, we kind of broke off because we don't want to.
We kind of like
That's fair.
like,
That's
push
that's a
the
good
other
point.
people aside. Be turtle underscore.
Isn't he gonna die if he
Wait.
falls though? Well, that should have worked. Oh, there he is.
He's coming down.
So
Oh yeah, we're
Okay,
Project
so-
Eden. Nice to meet you.
No, we're Project Eden Squad Bravo 6. We got gas mask. Oh yeah, he got us an elytra. He turtle got us an elytra, and then he killed like 3 people. I think our team kill total is around like 5 or 6. We didn't want to get team killed, so we kind of just broke off.
That's a good point. Actually, that's pretty smart.
Yeah. 'Cause
That
I didn't
like
know
what's
who
it
was
called?
coming.
The music person on Team Druggies annihilated a lot of your members. Like Project Eden like, in specific. Two of Team Druggies were still chasing down some of the survivors from Team Eden.
Listen,
I just had a
Wait, Adriens, you took my door.
They also have a really,
My
they
door.
also have an insane
No, I'm
dagger.
gonna.
Meanwhile, the other more peaceful members of the Druggies were walking inwards towards the decimated part of the city that's contaminated with radiation already. Lucky for them, they have like 20 gas masks due to their friends dying already. They also soon realized that having that many and wearing them out in the open made them a walking target. That's when they found people eyeing them down at the bridge. This happened to be RNO, but a realigned version of it known as the RNOP, which is just simply rebels, nomads, outcasts, and passengers. It was the RNOP that eyed them down, noticing their gas masks, and wondering if they would be up to trade with them. If not, they might use force and steal it from them. Well, that's the passengers.
There's a lot of people down there. What's going on?
I don't really like that.
What's their name?
Do you have gas mask by any chance? Do you have spare gas mask?
They do have a gas mask. They have gas masks on actually. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yes. Give me down my pants.
Hey, oi!
Stop attacking. I'm drinking my intel water.
I never said we
placing
attack them. I
carrots
just
in
said we
your
have to
eye.
confront them. Someone has to call them out for going around blind with gas masks on. That's pretty crazy, dog.
The passengers are teamed with their
What is even the deal with gas mask again? Because I have no idea.
It allows you to live longer in the event. If you don't, you can probably die faster.
Adrian, can I have a gas mask? I got a deal for you,
Dog,
Adrian.
dude, he's not gonna give it to you
Adrian, I
for
can
begging.
fly
You gotta work
planes. I
for it.
can
He wants
fly
you to go down there and
planes,
chase
Adrian.
those 2 men into that tower.
You wanna know something? I'm the pilot that crashed the plane.
Yo, you set them up for failure.
It was really
dog.
funny,
Crazy.
in my opinion.
You crashed it into a bridge, bro.
Yes, I have the pilot shield and the pilot hat and the pilot dagger. Give me a plane and that will drive us out of here. Trust me, bro. Trust me.
I mean, with your record, you'd probably just crash it again.
Sad quickly came to realize that the RNOP would try killing them, so they ended up burning all of the spare gas masks that they had, except for one. So even if they resorted to murdering Team Druggies, they'd only get 3 tops, which isn't enough for everyone. Do you guys have extra gas masks?
Oh, we just burnt them all.
Ain't no way, bruh.
Yeah.
Why? Why'd you burn them?
Because we saw like Project Eden over there, and like they don't have any, so you know.
Oh, okay.
They're done.
That's
they're
so
done.
funny to me because I was just talking to the passengers team and I'm like, you guys might have some extra gas masks.
Oh, there you guys are. I found
Okay.
you. Hello. I am friendly. Are you friendly? I saw you have gas mask. You give me gas mask, I fly plane.
Okay, sounds like a deal.
I am pilot. You give me gas mask, I fly us out of here. Oh, get that wrong. Totally.
That's the last one I got too. I burned the
That
other.
wrong. Holy shit, I am putting that in my video. Oh my.
We had 11 and I burned them all.
there he is.
Run.
What's going on? Hello, hey.
Gas mask by just saying I'm a pilot.
I'm not explaining anything.
Yeah. You don't deserve free things because you're stinky.
The first passenger to approach was known as Muddy. Apparently, he was the pilot of the plane that brought them down into the city in the first place. The real question is, he seemed a little too proud of flying a plane that had crashed into the middle of the city. Seemed just a little weird to me. But Sad gave him a gas mask regardless and ran away before his friends could come. Well, he tried to. There's a fallout shelter in the decimated city that possibly even has other survivors in it, which they all wanted in on. And this was the gas that was released into the city. Anyone without a gas mask would basically die. Unfortunately for Team Eden, a member of Team Druggies was the first person to make it to the radiation zone before anyone else. Anyone who didn't have a gas mask at this point was killed off by the gas being released into the air. Reef was found around that area as well, but he was fiending for kills. Killed one person after the next. Even Team Druggies finally made it into the radiation zone and began their murder spree. They caught a whiff of an Eden and chased them down, slicing off their head. There were a few more members of Project Eden roaming around the top of the buildings, which the Druggies caught glimpses of and decided to fight them head on. This was a battle of grenade. The grenade was crazy.
Come on.
The timing on that was fun. But after all of that effort, he was thrown a grenade by one of the Druggies and met his end. Things were truly looking bleak for Project Eden. Turns out, Project Eden's Elytras now belong to Team Druggies, leading them to a better way to find their next prey. Hey, that rhymed. They weren't gonna just let anyone take these spots to the fallout shelter in the very middle of this decimated city. Also, there's a border closing in to indicate where the military shoots, and one person was caught underneath a bridge trying to hide out from the Druggies and Eden's war. There were only a few who remain, with Druggies having the most members still alive. Then Bravo 6 entered the fight. Took him long enough. Muddy, the plane's pilot, was still alive as well, but with how long being that he's been chased by both Eden and members of Team Druggies. After everything, there was only the Druggies and one member of Team Eden remaining. Massimo, being the last member of Project Eden and the last person against Team Druggies, using an Elytra, flew around to evade them at all costs. He stayed high up in the sky. He had a bunch of grenades stacked up from his fallen teammates and began Eden's second operation, the bombing of the Druggies. He threw down multiple grenades since they all bunched up together and fled as soon as it struck the ground. After quite the flawless execution, there was one slip-up, and Massimo was shot down dead. Team Druggies were the ones to come victorious, living their lives out in a fallout shelter. Subscribe or I'll cry in the corner of my room with no snacks.